Hello everyone and welcome again to another episode of Truly Happy One. Ako po ulit si Eric Calugdan. Together with us is Sir Enrico Garcia. I used to be an IT consultant for Unisys and then put up my own business called Infotext. I'm also the CIO of Philpax and CTO of Sante. You can call me a serial entrepreneur. Sir Enrico, on the other hand, used to be the retail operations manager of Shell, and then after that, he became the country manager of Herbalife. After Herbalife, he became the director of operations of Avon and also one of the board of directors of the Direct Selling Association of the Philippines. Now, he is a mindset coach and also the director for international operations of Sante. No? And way back, ang tagal na, isang taon na, Sir Enrico, no? Kinausap
Wow.
ako ni Sir Enrico about this pandemic, quarantine, etc. Puro bad news na lang kasi naririnig natin. Kaya we have come up with this Truly Happy One series. No, we do this every Saturdays at 5 p.m. via Facebook Live and YouTube Live. And every week, iba-iba yung topics. Like this week, ang topic natin is, should I hang on or move on? No? So ang mga topics natin, ang parang overall umbrella theme niya is about world-class Pinoy excellence. No? Paano ba maging successful tayong lahat? No? Hindi lang mga entrepreneurs, hindi lang mga professionals, as in tayong lahat. No? Paano ba tayo magiging successful sa ating buhay, sa ating careers, no? Sa ating mga businesses? Yun yung mga dinidiscuss natin, iba-ibang topics every week dito sa Truly Happy One. Okay? And before we start no yung ating main topic, please let us know where you are watching from. If you're watching from Mandaluyong, type niyo dyan sa comment section sa Facebook, watching from Mandaluyong. Kung kayo nanonood naman sa YouTube channel natin from Dubai, type niyo dyan sa chat sa YouTube, no, watching from Dubai. Okay? Para alam natin kung hanggang saan umaabot itong ating broadcast. Also, you can send us your questions or feedback. This is an interactive webinar. During our session, you can type your questions and feedback sa chat sa YouTube or comment sa Facebook. And you can also comment and of course, tag your friends sa tingin nyo na makakatulong no, itong topic natin ngayon. Don't hesitate na rin to like, comment, tag your friends, and share this video. And para wala kayong ma-miss na mga episodes, this is already episode number 47. Wow, konti na lang.
Wow.
1 year na tayo, Sir Enrico. Para wala kayong
Wow.
ma-miss na mga episodes, make sure that you subscribe sa ating YouTube channel. Nandyan sa baba lang, red YouTube button yan. Libre po yan, walang bayad po yan. Si Gay Fajardo is watching us. Ayan, thank you po for watching. Okay, so Sir Enrico, ang ating topic this week is about should I hang on or move on? Ano ba to, sir? Relationship ba to? Sige, sir.
When I was looking, sabi ko baka yun ang interpretation ng tao, di ba? But yeah, to a certain extent, it is, and we just put it in this term para naman hindi masyadong boring yung title. Kasi ito, medyo naintindihan na to ng mga tao. But certainly not just relationship. Yes, relationship included, and other things, lalo na business or even profession or even career, di ba? So before I start, I want to wish our viewers a pleasant afternoon. Thank you for your time, and especially those who are regular viewers, a warm welcome. So this is about the work of a person called Adam Grant, no, and organizational psychology. He helps organizations, and yung main premise niya is contained in his work in a book called Think Again. Okay, and you will see the slides later. That's his work, and what it really is talking about is when should you rethink your position and unlearn. Yun nga yung dapat ba manatili ako, mag-hang on ako, or move on. And it's very provocative kasi we have been taught and conditioned na, at all costs, I have to get to the top of that mountain, whether that's your goal, whether that's fitness, whether business. And of course, you need that faith. Of course, you need the grit. He presents another view. And this is, of course, you and your ability to look at the evidence hard that you have in front of you and make the decision does it make sense to hang on, keep the grit, or is it time to accept that, teka, the evidence is clear that I should be moving on? Okay? So, again, ultimately, it's the person's decision really to, to hang on or move on. And in some cases, we know, like we have some friends in a relationship that, many people were telling them, you should have moved on or out of that relationship. Did they hang on a little longer? Again, that's their call. But you can clearly see, of course, from hindsight, that there were some instances that perhaps the wiser thing, or I wouldn't say wiser, but based on the evidence that was available at that time, it may have been the right time to move on. And we'll use some examples. So, yan yung the power of knowing what you don't know, di ba? And we will go through this and apply it to the situation that we're in today, right? Sige, Eric. Next
Ayan.
slide. Yeah.
Sige sir. Si Sir Gabi, The Divas is watching us. Sabi niya, good afternoon, episode 47 na.
Oh,
Yes.
wow. Salamat, Gabi. You've been regular and thank you.
Also
Joe,
si
thank
Joe Baisa from GMA Cavite.
yes. Salamat,
Ayan.
Joe. Salamat sa
And
yung
Jesusa
pagtangkilik.
Quijano is watching. Ayan. Thank you
Oh,
po
thank
for
you.
watching. Also si Buena Fe Frias and Sister O Aguinaldo is watching us. So, yeah, thank you po for
Oh,
watching.
oh, thank
Okay,
you.
next slide.
Okay. So, this is the guy that put this work together, 'di ba? You can read up on it, and it's excellent lalo na at this time, no? Kasi nga in our world today, the difference is many years ago, we didn't have this much information literally in our fingertips, 'di ba, Eric?
Yes.
Literally today, kung may naiisip ka, you just put it in a rectangular box called Google,
Mhm.
and you'll get answers. Any question. Can you
Correct.
imagine that? Diba? Never in our history have we had that much access to information. And there's, of course, good to that, but also you get so much information. Now, your ability to, sift and sort which one is relevant is very challenging, right? So,
Mhm.
exactly, di ba? The skills that matter more is the ability to rethink and unlearn. And I'll give specific business examples so that you will get an idea. O sige, since we're at it, yung BlackBerry. In
Mhm.
2000, if people still remember it, no? In 2008, they controlled nearly 50% market share, number of handheld phones.
Mhm.
By 2014, they were down to 1%.
Wow.
Yeah,
From 50% to 1%.
yes. You're
Wow.
looking at what, an 8-year span. They were so dominant. And I know that because BlackBerry was, if you work for a big multinational, the standard issue would be BlackBerry. In fact, medyo status symbol noon yung BlackBerry. Di
Mhm.
ba? Yeah. Yung kanilang, ang tawag nila dun, ikaw, alam mo yung term
Yung
dun eh,
QWERTY
yung,
keypad?
oo, tapos yung roller ball, di ba?
Ah.
Di ba? So, that's only 2000, but people probably don't remember BlackBerry because they're finished,
Mhm.
di ba? They're still in the business but no longer sa hand phones. And yet, to
Mhm.
think they were they did not believe in the, having your phone to eventually be like a computer. And so
Mhm.
they did not adapt. In the meantime, Android, well, Samsung and Apple were looking at the idea of how can you use your stylus, which you have with you, which is your finger, for the touch screen.
Mhm.
And of course, you know what happened, right? So
Correct.
that's, holding on to that, yung wanting to feel right instead of being right. That's
Mhm.
the danger. They should have
Correct.
moved on, diba, and taken advantage. Okay, next slide.
Before tayo mag-next slide, sir, na-intriga lang ako dito sa kanyang illustration. It's nung iniisip ko nga, Think Again, yung title niya, it's actually a match na supposed to be fire yung nandito, pero actually tubig siya. Ang galing, ano?
Right. And
Unang tingin pa, akala mo apoy na parang blue flame, pero actually hindi siya apoy, tubig siya.
correct, Eric, because if you read and you even listen to his TED talk, He
Mhm.
talks about yung frog daw pagka nasa boiling water yung frog. Syempre tatalon
Hmm.
siya.
Yeah.
Pero ang thinking is kung lukewarm, kung hindi masyadong hindi boiling, yung mainit-init lang, hindi raw
Mhm.
tatalon yung frog kasi
Hmm.
wala raw ability to determine na eventually magbo-boil din yun.
Mhm.
So they think it's okay na. So ang parang visual image niya is kung medyo komportable ka dun sa lukewarm na yun, hindi ka tatalon kasi okay lang
Oo.
bearable pa. Pero hindi mo
Oo.
nakikiisip na eventually kukulo yun and it will
Hmm.
boil. So
Mhm.
yun yung ano niya na parang when and many of us according to him are already in a boiling pot.
Mhm.
Potentially boiling pot. Not yet
Mhm.
now.
Oo.
Pero nandun na yung signs, di ba?
About to boil.
Yes,
About to
yes.
boil siya.
In
Okay.
our lives, okay? So
Ayan.
as an
Si Ann
analogy,
Piment Yes, Ann Pimentel is watching us. Thank you for watching. And also si Buena Fe Fria, sabi niya, hello po,
of course,
watching from
hello.
Mandaluyong. Ayan. Thank you, thank
Of
you.
course.
Next slide.
Thank
Ayan.
yes. So it's really just a very simple image, 'di ba? Things I know, syempre mas maliit. Things I know, syempre, things I think I know, but really when you look at this, it's there's a lot that you don't know. All of us, 'di ba? Ang dami natin hindi nalalaman. And it's the same. If you look at history, it's the same, di ba? We started centuries ago. The world is flat, and then until no, it's round, di ba? And then we thought that everything revolves around the Earth. No, the sun is in the center of the system, di ba? Kaya nga solar system and everything else, di ba? So ang daming ganun that went on for centuries unchallenged until
Mhm.
evidence was presented na wow, yung belief pala natin na ganun hindi pala totoo yun, di ba? Later
Mhm.
on, di ba? So
Correct.
really that discovery, or rather I should say curiosity of wow, learning kasi ang dami nga natin hindi alam di ba?
Mhm.
Mas malaki talaga yun. Parang yun sa industry natin, Eric, di ba? Yung tinatawag natin, yung warm market, di ba? Yung mga taong kakilala natin,
Yeah.
ano ba mas malaki, yung taong kakilala mo or yung hindi mo kakilala? 'Di
Mhm.
ba?
Correct.
Siyempre mas malaki yung hindi mo kakilala, right?
Correct. Nasa billions yun, yung hindi mo kakilala.
Exactly.
Oo.
Exactly. 'Di ba? So yun yung kanyang ano, it's very powerful and it just helps us, really move on. So, okay. Kanina sabi I promised na how many people up to today are still mentally in a state where hindi pagbalik nung dati natin buhay
Yung
and they're still
pre-COVID na sinasabi nila.
oh, pre-COVID, they're still hanging on to that concept.
Mhm.
After more than a year now, some people have not made that mental shift despite the evidence, di ba? Companies have
Mhm.
saved a lot of money in business travel, di ba? Ang laki nun savings.
Yes.
Ang dami palang pwedeng gawin. We always believe it was almost impossible and we still say it. Of course, nothing beats a face to face. There's no
Mhm.
question about that. But we also discovered and learned, wow, ang dami pala natin pwedeng gawin talaga without us being together,
Mhm.
right? Sure, if we used to see each other 22 or 26 days in a month from work, maybe at most 4 times once a week is more than enough,
Mhm.
right?
Correct.
Because with technology now, we can do many things. Ito, we're doing this right now without
Yeah.
borders, di ba?
Pre-pandemic, wala 'to. Wala 'tong mga live
Exactly.
walang Truly Happy One
E-
pre-pandemic.
exactly, Eric.
Mhm.
So that's the point, di ba? So when do
Mhm.
you hang on and when do you move on, di
Mhm.
ba? And I dare
Correct.
say, yeah, we must move on kasi ito yung ating reality na di ba?
Mhm.
Wala na yun 'di ba? Okay, when
Correct.
we say that, what we mean is that doesn't mean we don't want to see each other face to face. No. But things have changed because nga, 'di ba? We have our situation and we discover and we adapt that hey, because of that, we're forced to do other things.
Mhm.
So, yun na yung new normal mo, 'di ba? So,
Correct.
Does that make sense, Eric? Before I proceed,
Yes, sir.
baka may
Opo,
questions
and
ka.
si Mac Sustal is also watching us. Thank you po for
Oh, thank you,
watching.
Mac.
Ayan. And
Thank you, Mac.
itong graph na 'to, napakagandang illustration nito 'no, na talagang mas madami yung things you don't know, 'no? You don't know that you don't know. 'Di ba? Yun yung
Yeah,
nakakatakot actually, eh. And kaya yan din yung reason kung bakit, um, yung sinasabi nila na yung mga leaders, 'di ba, yung mga successful people, ang kanilang parang principle lagi sa buhay is that it's a lifelong learning, 'di ba? You always continue to learn new things dahil hindi ka mauubusan talaga ng mga bagay na hindi mo alam, 'di ba?
right.
Hanggang sa umabot ka na ng heaven, may mga bagay ka pa rin na hindi mo alam. So, you have to really continuously learn. Kasi if you're not learning new things, you're actually degrading yourself, degrading your brain. Tama ba sa Enrico?
Yeah. That is so true. In fact, ma-share ko lang isang company I work for. Nagulat ako. Ginawa nila, tinrack nila yung pag nag-retire, and yung retire meaning pagkakuha niya nung kanyang magandang retirement package. As in,
Mhm.
walang ginawa. He didn't engage himself in anything. Anyway, that company tracked it, and it was sad that within 5 years, patay. Yung
Wow.
tinrack, yung tinrack nila yung talagang walang ginawa.
Mhm.
Retire, the concept of, ay, you just sit down, you just enjoy your life, yun yung image natin eh,
Oo, oo.
di ba? Pero
Yeah.
wala nang engagement or growth, di ba, in something new, whether it's a hobby, di ba? As in,
Mhm.
wala talaga. They, and then medyo yung social life na wala rin, naging recluse, nawala in 5 years.
Hmm.
So anyway,
Biglang
ang point,
nag-degrade, yeah.
oo, yung sinasabi
Mhm.
mo nga, 'di ba? If you
Mhm.
don't use it, you lose it anatomically, 'di
Mhm.
ba? And
Yeah.
physiologically. So, napaka-powerful nun. Sige, next slide.
Next slide.
And this is Adam Grant, no? And I like this, and I chose it because we listen to views that make us feel good. Ito yung sinasabi ko, we like to feel right
Mhm.
instead of ideas that make us think hard. O example, syempre naman, who likes we don't like the idea of, we made the wrong decision, of course, and that's why sometimes we hang on much longer than we should, because rather than being right, we like to feel right. Papatunayan ko na tama yung desisyon ko, na
Mhm.
whether in a relationship, in business, in career, hindi, maiiwan ako dito kasi patutunayan ko, paninindigan ko. Yet
Mhm.
there was evidence or already, signs that it might be the time to rethink and say, oh nga, nagbago na yung business landscape. Maybe it's time to move into digital. Oh, example, di ba, Eric? Oo
Mhm.
nga, no? Dapat nga. May mga ibang galing, ha? Ginawa nila, tinanggal nila kagad yung idea of having yung brick and mortar. Immediately,
Mhm.
na-realize
Mhm.
nila, wala na to. So they switched into a digital.
Mhm.
There were a few who immediately, because nakita
Mhm.
na nila, di ba? Uy, yan yung dating model noon. Eh, hindi
Mhm.
na yan yung reality ngayon. So,
Correct.
switch na tayo, di
Mhm.
ba?
In fact,
So,
ngayon nga sir, meron ng digital bank, official digital bank na registered, I mean, recognized and registered sa BSP, no? And
ING.
dahil
Yeah,
yeah,
ING.
ING, si
Yeah,
Tonic, CIMB. So,
yeah,
since digital bank sila, wala silang mga branches, wala
correct.
silang mga pasweldo na mga tao. So, ang laki nung cost na kakat nila, 'di ba, sa mga operating expenses nila as a bank. So, ang nangyayari since digital sila, yung cost savings na nakukuha nila, pinapass on nila as interest dun sa mga nagsisave sa kanila. Kaya ang tataas ng mga interest naman, 'di ba, no, na pinapasa nila.
Correct. Correct. And, that was
Mhm.
featured in one of the books, the many great books. Matagal na nila yan. Meron sila ING Direct. Kasi,
Mhm.
exactly, tanggalin mo yung brick and mortar ano na yun, di ba? And then, ibalik mo,
Mhm.
di ba? And then,
Mhm.
ngayon, Eric, di ba, lalo na with digital wallets and all of that, di ba? And all of these things, di ba, it's really changing, di ba? Ito
Yes.
talaga yung, di ba, instead of, bakit mo nga naman kailangan ng branch, no? Di ba?
Mhm.
So, if you start to experiment That's when we're led by curiosity and then to test it.
Mhm.
Parang laboratory, di ba? And that will lead us to the yung slide, di ba, na
Mhm.
pag, di ba sa school, hypothesis, di
Mhm.
ba? O, ito yung
Yeah.
hypothesis. Itetest mo yun.
Favorite
Di
subject
ba?
ko 'yan noon nung ano, high school.
O, hindi ba?
Mag-experiment sa lab, oo.
Oo, 'di ba papatunayan mo or
Mhm.
mapapatunayan mo na ay hindi pala totoo 'yun, 'di ba?
Mm. Tama.
Meron kang hypothesis, masusubukan mo. You can
Mhm.
test it kung totoo, 'di ba? Kung
Mhm.
tama
Correct.
based on
Hindi yung
ano
hindi yung ina-assume mo na lang na ito yung mangyayari. Kailangan mo
oh,
i-test talaga.
correct. So maganda
Mhm.
'yun kasi 'yun talaga dapat yung curiosity. Oo nga no, posible kayang wala na lang bangko?
Mhm.
Posible kaya na meron na lang tayong parang central kitchen. Tapos lahat ng mga gusto magnegosyo dahil nabawasan yung capacity, eh imbis na gumastos pa sila sa physical store, gawa ka ng kusina, 'di ba meron 'yan? Ano yung cloud kitchen ba 'yun?
Cloud kitchen, yes,
Oo.
oo, cloud kitchen.
Doon mo dalhin yung negosyo mo, nakabawas ka sa renta at saka ano, tapos
Mhm.
hawak mo pa rin yung recipe mo, siyempre ikaw yung nag-aano doon, tapos may
Mhm.
delivery sila.
Mhm.
Pag sumama
Tama.
ka dun sa cloud kitchen, yung fulfillment side, yung delivery, kasama yun dun sa nag-organize ng cloud kitchen. E di,
Mhm.
wala ka ng malaking gagastusin dun, babayad ka lang ng certain fee, papasa mo rin naman yun dun sa consumer. E di
Mhm.
tuloy ang negosyo mo. Di ba?
Correct. At kaya mo na ngayong mag-scale, yun yung, usong word din ngayon, mag-scale, mag-multiply ng negosyo. Minsan, lalo na kapag yung marketing mo nasa digital format na, ang dali kasi niyang i-share, madali siyang maging viral, madali siyang i-pass on, 'di ba, sa mga
Correct.
chats, sa mga groups, mga ganyan. So ang nangyayari, biglang buhos naman yung mga orders. Ang problema, yung production mo naman nung produkto, yung mga empanada, yung mga tinapay na yan, 'di ba? Yung mga cakes na yan, yung production volume mo naman yung mahirap. Kaya yun nga, nagkaroon ng mga cloud kitchen para mag-scale yung iyong business na kaya mong tumanggap ng
Correct.
maraming orders and also makaya mo rin na mag-produce ng ganong kadaming orders.
Correct. Correct. Ang ganda ng
Mhm.
sinabi mo kasi yun nga talaga, 'di ba? You can yung scale yung paglaki or pagliit depending on ano,
Mhm.
'di ba? Yun lang naman ibig sabihin ng scale, 'di ba?
Yes. Mhm.
Mapalaki mo kaagad kung malaki na yung ano, 'di ba? And ability na pwede mo rin ibaba kung kailangan ibaba,
Mhm.
'di ba?
Correct, correct.
Nang hindi ka masyadong nasasaktan in terms of money, 'di ba?
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
yun nga, do you hang on to a brick and mortar setup as we knew it before or should you move
Mhm.
on to a new model now? Hindi naman
Mhm.
ibig sabihin kalimutan mo na pwedeng hybrid,
Tama.
pwedeng ate, pwedeng mas
Yes.
konti ito, mas marami. In fact, si
Mhm.
Amazon, baliktad. Di
Mhm.
ba? Binili niya yung Whole Food Store. That's a chain of 460 stores, brick and mortar.
Mhm.
Binili niya yun. And yet, Amazon has always been online.
Mhm.
Pero binili niya yun para niya mailagay na yung delivery niya is within the neighborhood. Ginagamit niya yung store na yun as fulfillment center niya.
Yes. And I think kino-convert din niya 'yon para dun sa ano 'yon, no contact na
Correct.
transaction, na shopping. Kasi
Pasok
meron
ka,
na sa
walang
China
cashier.
no'n, eh. Sa
Hmm.
Alibaba nagawa na nila 'yon na pagpasok mo kuha ka lang ng item ta's labas ka na, automatic macha-charge 'yun sa electronic wallet mo. So, I think 'yun din yung gustong gawin ni Amazon with Whole Foods, 'di ba?
Right.
Na 'yun yung puwedeng gawin nga. Sa mga negosyo naman dito sir, sa atin, sa Pilipinas for example 'no, ano naman yung mga puwede kaya nilang gawin na mag-experiment 'no, at ma-try para sa kanilang businesses?
Ikaw, Eric, you're in that ano, lalo yung mga last mile, yung tinatawag, yung delivery, di ba? Ito na nga, di ba? Kaninang umaga lang, meron isang Filipino company, fin-franchise niya yung ano, yung delivery system. Di ba,
Mhm.
Eric? Yung
Yes.
pag-deliver, di ba? Ang ginawa
Aha.
niya, uy, ito yung kailangan. Kasi small business people, magaling ka magluto. Pero paano yung delivery? Hindi
Mhm.
mo kaya yun, di ba? So ngayon,
Mhm.
ang dami nang available. Nandun, of course, yung Grab, Mr. Speedy. And then somebody na-realize niya, pwede kong gawing negosyo to. Kukuha ako ng 100 riders, di ba, who I will give
Mhm.
business to. And then, gagawin ko, ako yung operator, may cut ako doon, ako yung parang consolidator. So, ginawa niya negosyo. Di ba?
Galing. Mhm.
Oh, you know what we're talking about, di ba? So,
Yes.
lumabas yan, and then that's one. And then, yun nga, yung telemedicine or konsulta, you can enhance
Mhm.
that, di ba?
Yeah. Oo,
So,
marami na ngayon
andam,
mga online consultation. And
correct.
possible siya ngayon dahil dahil sa internet, dahil sa advancement din ng technology, no. Dati nung time ng mga Nokia phones, although may camera yung Nokia phone, hindi ganoon ka-clear yung picture ng Nokia phone. So hindi pa siya possible gamitin for telemedicine dahil hindi mo talaga ma-distinguish kung anong nangyari, for example, yung sa balat, 'di ba? Pero ngayon sa taas ng quality ng mga cameras ng mga phones, makikita mo talaga kung ano yung problema, no, doon sa sugat or sa balat, no. And dahil sa internet din na mabilis na ngayon, pwede mo rin gawin na video consulting, 'di ba? Video calls, mga ganon.
Right, right. And
Yeah.
again,
So,
let's look at, di ba, so many opportunities here in the Philippines, di ba?
mhm.
Lalo na sa atin, yung Eric, di ba, yung nangyayari na to sa ibang parte, very soon, or actually in some countries now, yung drone delivery within a certain radius.
Yes. Mhm.
Drone na lang magdadala sa'yo. Can you imagine
Correct,
that?
correct.
Ang efficient
Galing.
nun. Wala nang traffic, wala nang experience, tapos on from a safety protocol. Wow.
Yes,
I
correct.
saw one technology, they have a range of 10 kilometers and up to 15 kilograms. Eric.
Wow.
Oh,
15 kilo, 10 kilometers.
oh,
Malayo
50,
yun.
oh, malayo.
Oo.
Malayo. It in
Galing.
Japan. It's being used
Mhm.
it's Chinese technology being used in Japan.
Mhm.
So right now 10 kg. So, ay sorry, 10 kilometers, 15 kg
15
maximum.
kg. Oo,
Malaki.
malaki rin yun.
That's wow,
Oo, malaki
that's
yung
at
15
least
kg.
30 plus pounds.
Madaming tinapay na yun, madaming produkto na
Exactly.
yung made-deliver mo dun.
Yeah.
Oo, na automated, 'di ba? Na walang human intervention.
Oh, you just
Grabe.
the drone and
Ayan.
that's,
Nanonood sa
'di
atin,
ba?
sir, si Cecilia Salomon. Ayan.
Uy,
And also
salamat
Ana
Cecilia.
Herrera. And
Uy,
also
thank
Ana
you.
Herrera is also watching. Ayan. Sige, next
Okay.
slide po
So last
tayo.
slide, yeah. Oo.
Ayan.
So what can we do, 'di ba? Knowing this already, 'di ba? Kailangan parang ito na pag-usapan na natin. Parang scientist tayo, we have to be willing to test. The key here is yung sinabi ni Eric, eksperimento tayo. So, yan yung kailangan mag-open yung mind natin na huwag tayong sarado, 'di ba? Na yung long-held beliefs natin dapat nga china-challenge yan. And this is again linked to yung previous episodes natin, critical thinking, 'di ba? You're curious and
Bias.
then yeah, yung confirmation and
Mhm.
desirability, yung maraming biases natin.
Mhm.
'Di ba kaya nga tayo nagpo-progress sa medicine, 'di ba? Because
Mhm.
you have scientists who are, teka muna, ito yung belief natin dati na ganito to. Parang yung tonsils. Many years
Mhm.
ago, pag may tonsils ka, tanggalin.
Correct.
Dati. And I'm
Mhm.
not saying it's wrong. I'm not a doctor, but maybe at that time that was the right thing. But later on, sabi nga nila, eh teka, yun yung parang indicator ng katawan na may problema eh. Yun
Mhm.
nga yung nagbibigay ng advice sa'yo na may infection.
Mhm.
Simptoma yung nakikita mo. Ano nagko-cause nun? So, I mean,
Mhm.
simple things like that, di ba? So, we have to be willing to, rely on evidence requiring, monotone. Ibig lang sabihin, a more objective, di ba? And most importantly, experiment.
Mhm.
'Di ba? In fact, go to the medication, 'di ba? That's why they always have the RCTs, randomized controlled trials. May
Mhm.
control group, meron ka nung isa para mga ma-present based on evidence, 'di ba? Na o
Mhm.
sige, effective pala to or hindi naman pala, akala lang natin, 'di ba?
Mhm.
And again, it's not to say mali ka or no, but it's really to what causes what nga, 'di ba?
Mhm.
Yun nga, like
Correct.
willing to experiment, di ba?
Mm.
You're willing to experiment and find out, mali pala yung hypothesis ko or, uy, totoo pala, di ba?
Mm.
And
Correct,
that's how
correct.
you advance. Tama ba, Eric? I don't know,
Tama,
baka,
tama, sir. Actually, related din diyan sa experiment, 'no. Mga 2 years ago, nagsimula nga ako nitong bagong diet, yung Pagumi diet. And
Yes.
nasimulan ko siya dahil before ko ma-discover yung diet na yun, hindi ko alam na hindi ko alam yun. No, na inassume nating lahat dahil sinabi ng mga magulang natin, na sinabi rin ng mga magulang nila, etc., etc., no, na yung food pyramid is carbs yung pinakamadami mo dapat kainin, tapos gulay, tapos pinakakonti yung fats, no? So, parang binaliktad niya. Pero based on scientific experimentation nga, gano'n, no? So, nakausap ko si Sir Rico Colaico, di ba? And based on scientific, ano rin yun, studies din. And based on the results din. So, kahit ako, in-experiment ko muna eh. Tinry ko muna sa sarili ko na tama nga ba na tanggalin yung carbs sa diet. So, tinry ko siya for 3 months. And talagang totoo. Kahit hindi ako nag-exercise masyado, 'di ba? Kahit lakad lang or drive lang 'yung ginagawa ko before, talagang naglo-lose 'yung weight ko kasi 'yun pala talaga ang dahilan kung bakit tayo nagi-gain ng weight, no? Dahil nga kung dati yung panahon ng yung industrial revolution nga, no, na talagang manual labor yung ginagawa natin, then yes, maybe effective 'yun. Pero ngayon na nasa information age na tayo, yung lifestyle natin changed from hard labor, 'di ba, to hard thinking, 'di ba? Na nakaupo ka na lang, 'di ba? Nasa office ka, aircon ka, gano'n. So, hindi mo nababurn lahat ng kailangan mong ma-burn. So, lahat ng kinakain mong carbs din, hindi mo rin siya nababurn. So, yun yung mga hindi ko alam before na nalaman ko na. Kaya yun, nag-change talaga totally yung diet ko. And good news din, since that time, more than a year na, no, never akong nilagnat. Never akong nagkasakit. No? And before that, usually, pag malapit na yung birthday ko, yung mga August na yan, nilalagnat ako. Hindi ko alam kung bakit ganun. No? Pero sabi na parang ganun. So, yung ilang years na yun, mahigit 40 years na alam ko, akala ko yun yung tama. Pero yun pala, with scientific evidence, hindi pala. 'Di ba? And kaya
Yeah.
yun din, kinakampaign ko rin itong pag-gumi diet nga dahil maraming katulad ko, no, na 40 years or more na akala natin yung ginagawa natin tama. Yun pala hindi. 'Di
Right.
ba, sir?
And maganda yung sinabi mo. In fact, there's a lot, alam mo, yan personal, ano ko yan, interest yan. A lot
Mm.
of the guidance on food, even in the US, have been
Mm.
there for almost 40, 50 years.
Mm.
Diba? Lalo
Yeah.
yung fat.
Mm.
Parang vinilify nila yung fat na masama yung fat.
Yeah.
'Di ba? And,
Oo.
and again, yeah, to a certain extent, depends which fat, 'di ba?
Mm.
Pero it was really more for, sabihin mo, marketing, economic
Yeah.
reasons, 'di ba? So marami,
Business
'di ba?
reasons, correct.
Oo, marami 'yan, 'di ba? 'Yun na nga, yung
Mm.
evidence, 'di ba? If you put them together, 'di ba? And you're willing to experiment like you did, then
Yes.
that's when curiosity leads to learning, 'di ba? And that's what happens, 'di ba? So should you hang on to the old held beliefs, 'di ba?
Yeah.
Na there's evidence to show or experimentation has shown that maybe hindi na 'yun, 'di ba?
Mhm.
Bago na. Sinabi mo yung isang bagay, the way we live today is so different from just
Correct.
20 or 30 years ago.
Yes.
So,
Dati hard
ibang-iba
labor
na.
talaga, 'di ba? Farming yung mga ginagawa natin before, hard labor ka talaga. Ngayon, iba na eh. Majority ng ginagawa natin, nakaupo ka lang sa aircon na office, 'di ba?
Yeah,
Nag-iisip ka, 'di ba? Nag-iiba. So dapat yung ways of living natin, the way we eat, 'di ba? The way we exercise also should also change, 'di ba? Marami nga ngayon actually since quarantine, 'di ba? Marami na rin yung mga online guide on how to exercise at home, which is
correct.
also effective, 'di ba?
Very,
So
very.
dati may mga ginagawa diyan na hindi natin alam before, pero ngayon talagang it works pala scientifically, 'di ba? Makikita mo talaga yung effect. So you can experiment, no? Ayan, may
Eric.
question dito, sir. Si Sir Gabby
Yeah.
Dadivas. Sabi niya, how do we know we are resisting change for the wrong reason? Conversely, how do we know if we are chasing change for the sake of it?
Well,
Magandang question.
yeah, resisting for the wrong reason, yun na nga, if like, let me take an example to help answer this, no? Like
Mhm.
before, I would run. I've always run long distances, in the last couple of years, thinking that it was the only way, the only true way to lose weight. And yeah, I did lose. But later on, when evidence was being presented that you could actually work out much shorter at a higher intensity, and achieve the same, I struggled with that. It took me a long time. Parang, paano mangyari yun na in 10 minutes, di ba?
Mm,
Dati, I'd need to run an hour and a half and parang, huh? Can I achieve the same, health benefits,
mm,
certain things? And it took me a long time until I was willing to experiment. Sige nga, like you, Eric, subukan ko nga itong tinasabi nilang high intensity na to. Sabi
mm,
ko, baka mamaya, mahirap. And it's true.
mhm.
You can achieve the same health benefits in terms of, anyway, very, very, ano yun, yung VO2, yung endurance mo, in a
Yeah.
much shorter time frame.
Mm,
It made sense, shorter, kasi mas mataas yung intensity. So you cannot do it
mhm,
for a long time. And then,
mhm,
hindi ko rin alam yun, Eric, ha? Despite may grabe pala yung free radicals that you create with long, prolonged, very prolonged, intense. Ibig sabihin,
mhm,
mahaba, di ba? So,
mhm,
kala ko hindi totoo yun. And it's
mhm,
true. Di ba? So, to answer that, Gab, it's you being willing to, to look at the evidence, okay? And then to know that, wow, ito yung evidence presented, di ba? And it's not just for the sake of, you make your own judgment based on what you have discovered with the information, but challenge your own, di ba? I guess that would help you determine if you're just, sige, for the sake na lang, dahil nakasanayan ko na to I'll just do this, di ba?
mhm,
You have to be willing to experiment like Eric did. Ganun nga ba? Ito na ba yung ito bang diet na to? Does it work? May bagong
mhm.
information Yung ginawa ni Eric, sige nga, subukan ko. Tama. That's what you did, right?
Yes, yes. And based on evidence, I therefore
Yeah.
conclude.
Ayun, di ba?
Oo. Yes. So
Based on your own
experiment.
experiment.
Oo.
Oh, you
Correct,
be
correct.
willing to experiment, di ba? And
Correct.
and find out, di ba? So
Yes,
yun nga,
yan.
to avoid yung for the sake of changing lang.
Mm. Sabi ni Buenafe, it is in crisis that we pursue to take on the challenge to adjust. Correct.
Of course, yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
lalo ngayon, 'di ba? Yun nga, nausod nitong term ng pandemic yung word na pivot, which is actually changing your path, 'di ba? From kung ano man yung business line mo before, you change products, you change industry, for example, dahil sa mga ganitong crisis period. Si
Right.
Ana also sabi niya, happy first VNG anniversary, dear mentors, coaches, Sir Eric and Sir Enrico. Thank you, Ana. And happy anniversary sa ating mga viewers from VNG. No, first year anniversary po natin. And also happy Independence Day na rin. Meron tayong
Yes.
Facebook user watching from Quezon City. Ayan.
Oy,
Sabi
thank
ni
you.
Buena
Thank
Fe,
you.
it may be good to hang on by adjusting one's lifestyle to give the business additional liquidity until the economic recovery kicks in. Ayan.
Yeah,
Anong
yeah,
comment
and
niyo dun, sir?
and yeah, and again, yung the decision to hang on, 'di ba, is decision mo naman 'yon, 'di ba? And yun na nga, you will either hang on for the sake of because nga you of preconditioned or beliefs, 'di ba? And you're not willing to experiment to see if there is, evidence to show na maybe I should not hang on to that, 'di ba? It's a decision
Mhm.
ultimately. Of course, you can decide if you want to remain there. There's nothing wrong with that, 'di ba? That's
Mhm.
your call, 'di ba? Remain there because you are making a choice and that's okay, 'di ba?
Correct. Ayan. Sabi
Even
ni
if
Sir
you don't
Gabby naman.
yeah, okay.
Yes, sir. So sabi ni Sir Gabby, once reported in CNN, Japan businesses had challenges operating in COVID lockdown since they are stuck with old ways of doing things like approval stamps on memos. Something has to drive change. Sabi niya.
Yeah, meron yan. Part of that is probably cultural or their tradition, 'di ba? But again, that's a choice. Okay? So you remember you can choose that, 'di ba? We're not saying here that you can choose to hang on or to move on, 'di ba? Yun nga 'di ba? That's
Mhm.
your choice, 'di ba? It's a choice. So all we're saying here is that, you how do you help yourself? Do I hang on to my long held beliefs and convictions, or is it time to move on? I can't answer that for you. Diba? All we're saying here is know, diba, how and when by using, evidence or information that you have. Diba? You also
Correct.
you make the call. Diba?
Mhm. Kaya
Career.
sabi rin ni
Yeah.
Yeah, sabi
Go
rin
ahead.
ni Buenafe, for vulnerable businesses that depend heavily on foot traffic and walk-in customers, should they quit or hang on?
What do you think? I'll ask you. If you own that business, should you hang on or move on? right? Apply what we're
Mhm.
talking about here. I can't answer for you. You have other reasons that I don't see. There might be emotional reasons or an attachment. Now,
Mhm.
if that is important to you, then of course you probably will hang on. The question for you is that the right thing to do for the business,
Mm.
right?
Scientifically speaking.
Oh,
'Di
and
ba?
based on
Oo.
data, 'di ba?
Based on data
So,
dapat.
yeah, I can't answer you there, 'di ba? So,
Yes.
ikaw magde-determine nun.
Mm. Well, sa ngayon puwedeng, nandiyan pa rin yung business, yung physical location mo 'no, na 'yan dependent sa mga walk-ins or, foot traffic. Pero instead of depending on that foot traffic lang, you should also start 'di ba, exploring, promoting online 'di ba? In fact ngayon, pumunta kami sa isang mall, nito lang mga last week or 2 weeks ago, ang daming tao. Pero yung mga tao naka-green or naka-purple sila. Ibig
Oh.
sabihin mga Grab delivery o kaya Lalamove
Oh.
delivery yung mga tao sa mga mall. So, alam mo yun, nag-transition na sila from dine-in na mga customers into delivery, di ba? So, selling online and delivery.
Correct.
So, yun yung pwede natin gawin. No? You pivot into other channels. Ayan. Si
Correct.
Henry Gloval naman may question. Sabi niya, first question, what to do when you have an idea and is already taken or nasa market na? Should I move on? Yeah. Si Aya pala 'to, sabi. Si Aya
Oh.
ang nagtatanong.
Well, yeah, it's obviously you have an idea, you see it there. Well, what you could do is first test the idea. Does it really work? And that might help
Mhm,
you whether you will still pursue that or no more. And
mhm,
then you can also ride on that idea by it being on the market. You have a chance now to see, is the idea really working? 'Di ba?
mhm. Correct.
Parang, uy, you have the chance now na makita ko without me having to ano. Now, if it turns out it's okay, what can you do with that idea for you to be able to use it as an advantage for you? 'Di
Mhm,
ba? So, essentially it's all up to you, 'di ba? How you process the information. Yun nga, the thing that blocks a clear decision is kung minsan marami kang beliefs or yung conditioning. 'Di ba?
mhm,
Na ayaw mong tanggapin, 'di ba? Na wow, mali pala yung ano, 'di ba? Dapat pala talaga dito na ako pumunta. Mahirap kasi tanggapin na mali ka. You want to feel right
mhm. Correct.
instead of being right, 'di
Mas
ba?
yun yung
So,
tendency natin, yun yung default natin, eh, 'no? Mas prefer nating
syempre,
feel right than be right. Oo.
correct.
Dun sa mga ganyan naman na questions, ako 'no, I mean in terms of technology, I believe yung kay Aya medyo tech related din. Maraming mga first to market na mga businesses or first to market na ideas na nag-launch na agad, 'di ba? Pero hindi lahat ng first to market ay nagiging successful. Like for example, Facebook. Alam mo ba na Facebook is the eighth pangwalo na social media, 'no? Maraming before pa Facebook, kung naalala niyo po yung Friendster, 'di ba? May
Correct.
Friendster, may Multiply, ano pa ba, yung mga marami pang mga social media websites before Facebook. So ibig sabihin may maraming nauna sa Facebook na mag-launch as a social media platform. Pero ngayon, ano nangyari, 'di ba? Si Facebook yung biglang nag-boom, siya yung naging popular, parang naging default na. In fact, pag pumunta ka sa India, pag tinanong mo siya, "Do you have internet?" Sabihin nila, "No." "Do you have Facebook?" "Yes." Kasi para sa kanila, Facebook is internet, parang gano'n. Nagiging, synonymous na sa kanila yung Facebook 'no. So, hindi lahat ng first movers may advantage ka, pero kung mali naman yung pamamalakad nila, mali yung operations nila, over time, puwede mo silang ma-overtaken, you know? So, importante is mahanap mo yung tamang niche ng business mo, tamang market mo, and tama rin yung operations mo na hindi ka naman, nagsusunog lang ng pera hanggang sa mag-close down ka na lang, 'di ba? Minsan
Yeah.
may mga gano'ng industry. So, depende sa industry, depende sa business, 'di ba?
Yeah.
Yun yun sa
Interesting you said that, Eric. I'm watching this, this nice movie, and the whole it's startups, okay?
mhm.
And pirme yung isa sabi niya, doesn't matter. First to market is what's important. Not
Korean America 'to?
necessarily. Hindi,
Startup?
hindi.
Hindi? Okay.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. But the whole idea
Okay.
was this big this guy who's a smart guy. Yeah, of course, it's a movie. His
Uh-huh.
belief is always, sinong first to market, yun ang importante.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
clearly, with the example you just said, it's not necessarily.
Mhm.
You
Correct.
might be biased to think that way. Kung first to market, that spells the ano. Let me cite an example. How many remember Kodak?
Correct.
Hindi na
Oo.
naaalala. Kasi, di ba,
Yeah.
Kodak was the first to have produced a digital camera in the 70s.
Yep.
But they didn't believe that was the future.
Mhm.
Imagine they had it in their ano, and yet they didn't put their bet on that. Where is Kodak now? Gone.
Hindi sila nag-move on. Nag-hang on sila sa film.
Yeah,
Film cameras. Oo.
yeah. Not
Tama.
thinking, ako mismo, hindi ako naniwala, ha? How can the phone produce? Ngayon, you don't even remember film. In fact, my daughter, baliktad. Papa,
Mhm.
it's a cool thing. Bumibili siya ng film. Kumbaga, trip na
Oo.
lang, di ba, na
Oo.
magpapadevelop siya ng picture. Can you
Yeah.
imagine that?
Parang museum quality na siya. Parang
Correct, correct. Yun nga.
oo. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, may question dito si Buenafe. Sabi niya, when Buffett said, the world has changed for airlines and I wish them well, should this perspective make others think of quitting also?
Well, hindi naman pwedeng lahatin. And Buffett is seeing this because he was heavily invested in airlines, okay?
Mm.
Couple of, and he was able to pull out some, pero may tama rin siya. So, from his perspective, it's an investment, di ba? But again, the reality is, if you're in the airline business, wow, we all know, di ba, how they've been severely impacted, di ba? So, yun nga, do you hang on to your existing model or should you make changes to your model? Do you move on
Mm.
to where the opportunities are? Maybe point to point, maybe, mix use of your airlines. Singapore Airlines, ibang klase rin. Hindi nila
Mhm.
mapalipad yung Airbus 380. At one point, they were advertising. Magdi-dinner ka, first class dinner, dun sa aeroplano na nakaparada.
Nakaparada. Pwede
Nakaparada.
actually. Oo.
Oo. Kasi,
Yeah.
nandun na yung anong gagawin mo with the plane.
Yeah. In
Di
fact,
ba?
pwede nga yan pang ano lang eh, pang Instagram lang eh. Ipa-rent
Exactly.
nila, di ba? Na
Yeah.
kunwari lumilipad. Pwede na yun. Kahit hindi siya
Yeah.
actually lumilipad, di ba?
Yeah. So,
Galing,
di ba,
galing.
there were yung flight to nowhere. It started in Taiwan, di ba? Sasakay ka ng aeroplano for the sake lang. They would just circle kung saan-saan. Wala namang pupuntahan.
Okay.
Oh, and Singapore Airlines was looking at that, but they decided it was impacting the environment more than the benefit.
Mm.
Kasi syempre,
Mm.
every time you fly, may emission from the
Yes,
jet
correct.
fuel. So they
Mm.
decided nga, hindi, ganito na lang. O magtutour ka. If you pay a certain amount, may first class dinner ka, in first class cabin, itutour ka pa dun sa facilities ng Singapore Airlines.
Nice.
Oh, di ba? So, don't hang on. Hindi naman makalipad yung aeroplano, di ba?
Correct,
Lugi
correct.
ang Singapore, wala naman silang domestic travel. They
Mm.
rely, syempre, it's a city state.
International lagi. Tama, tama.
Syempre, di ba? Anong gagawin nila?
Mm.
Yun yung move, di
Oo nga,
ba?
no? Experience business class or first class for a fraction of the price. Di ba?
Oh,
Okay, magandang idea yun. Galing.
wala
Ayan,
rin
sabi
naman
ni,
nangyari.
yeah, sabi ni Sir Gabby Dadibas, it is a constant battle of biases.
Of
Correct.
course. Yeah. Yeah.
Oo. And question from Buenafe, if a business needs to quit but tied up with contracts and agreements, is selling the business a good option?
Well, I can't answer for you, but yeah, if you do have contracts and agreements, that is something, that's an asset. Diba? Like,
Mm-hmm.
when somebody's buying, they're always, what are you buying? Are you buying the brand or are you buying the existing contracts that this company has? So
Mm-hmm.
depending on your call, diba, the contracts and agreements could be a very nice come on for somebody to buy your business because you hold the contracts, provided you can deal with the person that you have a contract with, that the one buying me will honor, and that the one buying will also tell the person you have to honor whatever contract, it can still work out, right?
Correct. Correct. for some reason, hindi ko sure bakit siya magku-quit kung meron siyang contracts and agreements, pero kung talagang kailangan niya mag-quit, then definitely malaking bagay yung meron siyang contracts and agreements kasi that will increase yung value ng business niya.
Of
Di ba? Yun yung
course,
bibilhin ng buyer.
that's what the buyer is actually, well, the buyer, that's what he's getting into, yung
Correct.
kontrata, di ba?
Yeah. Ito sabi ni Sir Gabby, first to market is just for press. Probably momentary stock price advantage but does not guarantee long-term profitability. Hashtag Telco Giants.
Yeah,
Based on
yeah.
experience yan ni Sir Gabby from the
Oh, di
telco.
ba?
Yeah,
Yeah.
unahan talaga. Kami may ganito, kami may ganyan. Ito yung promo, ito promo ganyan. Very
Yeah.
very red ocean itong telco industry.
Well, but there are some, di ba, that have shown that the first to market turned out. So again, it's
Mm.
how you process the information. What we're talking about here is, do you have that that curious mind or that willingness to experiment, di ba?
Mm.
And if you take a look, oh, is it possible na kahit hindi ako first to market, pwede ko mag-succeed? You'll find many cases, di ba?
Mm.
And meron
Correct.
rin na first to market were successful. And then why? Di ba?
Mm.
And then go test your own, di ba? So in
Correct.
other words, it's how you process the information, di ba? How you
Mm.
tame the biases and using data to, for you to make your decision.
Yes, correct. Ayan. Please comment, sir, to quit or not to quit a 9 to 5 job to be their own bosses in their pandemic time. In this pandemic time pala.
Again, it's something that's personal kasi, di ba? In next week's topic, um, you know, most of the people will probably majority will want to stay with a 9 to 5 kasi may predictability eh, may 15:30 ka eh, di ba?
Mm.
So depending where you are in your situation, if that's what's important to you right now and you're not willing to put in extra time to start building something on the side, then yeah, maybe again, you be the judge of your own situation, but that should be, are you willing to experiment with, you can do something on the side outside of your work hours if you are willing to. Alibaba, si
Yes.
Jack Ma, that's what he did. Nagtatrabaho siya sa China Post. Sabi niya, ano yun, 9 to 6 is earn a living. 7 to 11, you earn a fortune.
Correct. Para sa business niya.
Oo.
Oo.
Di,
Correct.
di ba?
Correct. In fact, ako naman, sa side naman ng mga entrepreneurs, no, dahil nga ngayon na masyado na tayong nag-change yung ating industry from the industrial age, which is doon actually fit yung 9 to 5 job, no, and regular employees, we changed to information age. Tapos because of the pandemic, we changed into more dynamic na information age plus may mga AI pa, etc. No? So, nagiging problem ngayon talaga na nakikita ko based on my observation lang is scalability sa isang business. Kasi
Right.
masyado na siyang dynamic, no? Minsan talagang sobrang baba ng mga orders. Tapos minsan naman biglang naging viral ka, no? In 1 week biglang nag-jump yung mga orders mo. So, very important ngayon yung scalability na pag bumaba yung order, dapat yung operations mo bumaba rin yung cost. Kapag tumaas yung order, dapat yung operations mo mag-a-align lang doon sa volume, no, ng mga orders. And because of that, yung issue of scalability, mas ipe-prefer ko ngayon ako as the entrepreneur, mas ipe-prefer ko yung mga contractual basis or project basis employees or mga yung freelancers versus getting regular employees. 'Di ba? Pwede
Correct.
siguro yung mga regular employees for the bare minimum, 'di ba? The bare basics of the operations of the business. Pero dun sa ibang mga bagay na nagmu-multiply, nag-i-scale or kailangang mag-scale, then maybe that's the time naman na maghahanap ako talaga ng mga freelancers, no, or yung mga contractual or project basis. So doon naman sa mga taong yun, yung mga kukunin as contractual or freelance or project basis, dapat maging open din sila, 'di ba? May mga tao kasi na unemployed pero ang gusto nila is regular employment lang. Ayaw nilang i-explore yung pagiging freelancer, ayaw nilang i-explore yung pagiging project-based, no? So, masyadong close naman. They hang on, 'di ba, to that concept of regular employment. Pero this day and age, no, mas hahanapin talaga ng mga businesses yung mga project-based or contractual or freelance basis dahil nga dito sa issue of scalability. Kasi kung let's say nag-hire ako ng 10 programmers, 'di ba, as a regular employee, paano naman yung time na biglang bumaba yung order, bumaba yung demand, 'di ba? And mahirap 'di ba, mahirap magtanggal ng employee, 'di ba? Madodole ka niyan. So, mas
Yeah.
ipe-prefer mo talaga na bare basics lang, and then for scalability's purpose, you hire project or freelance basis, 'di ba, sir?
Yeah, absolutely. And yun nga, I think, yeah, are you hanging on to that old model of how you create wealth? We had an episode on this.
Yes, yes.
There are many ways to
Correct.
create wealth now that's available to ordinary people that's much, much better than 2 or 3 decades ago.
Yep.
So, it's your choice if you just hang on to that or should you move on to what's available to you now. Di ba?
Correct. Ayan. And next slide, ang ating question naman sa ating mga viewers. What are your takeaways? Type nyo po dyan sa comment section sa Facebook or sa chat dyan sa YouTube. No? What are your takeaways sa ating topic for today? Ako naman, ang aking takeaway dito is number one, no one wants to admit that they were wrong or nagkamali sila. Mahirap. Actually, ako medyo naging challenge din sa akin yan before, no, na aminin na nagkamali ako. Pero ngayon, okay na ako. Flexible na ako pag mali talaga, 'di ba? Based on evidence, based on what we have tested, talagang mali yung naging decision ko or mali yung nakuha ko, 'di ba? Also, we have to prefer being right versus feeling right, no? So, dalawa 'yan eh. Be right meaning you're doing the right thing based on evidence, based on results versus kung ano lang yung feel mo dahil may emotional attachment ka lang or dahil sa mas pogi kang tingnan kapag yun yung ginawa mo, no,
Or
yung
mas
feel
matanda
right
ako
or
sa iyo.
look
Mas
right.
matanda ako sa iyo. Oo, mas matanda ako sa iyo kaya tama ako.
Kaya tama ako, yung mga ganun, di ba? Or
Ah.
ano yun, yung position ko mas mataas kaysa sa'yo, kaya tama ako kaysa sa'yo, di ba? Yung mga ganun. So, we really have to look at the facts, we have to look at the data, and prefer yung being right, no? Huwag tayong maging, yung example nga nung frog, di ba? Na hihintayin mo pa na biglang boiling,
Kumulo.
yung boiling muna, kumulo, before ka tumalon doon, alam mo na dapat, no? Tingnan mo na rin in the next few months, in the next few years, ano yung mangyayari sa business mo or sa career mo. And prepare, di ba? Prepare ka na dapat. Look for other opportunities or look for other skills na pwede mong i-add sa'yo, no? Or other ways of earning income din. Marami dyan. Kung kailangan nyo ng another source of income, pwede nyo kaming i-message ni Sir Enrico, no? Marami pong mga options dyan, no? No problem. And also, itong pagiging successful natin, it's always a lifelong learning, no? Mas marami talaga yung hindi natin alam. Kaya, dito actually sa Truly Happy One, kaya rin talagang consistently rin na nagiging passionate ako and interested dito sa Truly Happy One dahil every episode may natututunan din akong bago, di ba? Na talagang wow, okay yan bago yan So, ganun tayo dapat. So, para lagi kayong may natutunan na bago rin, make sure that you subscribe, click niyo yung subscribe button dyan. By the way, may Facebook group din tayo. Yung link dun sa Facebook group na yun, nandyan sa baba nitong description. Click niyo lang yan, yun yung last link na nandun. And connected sa lifelong learning, yung isang statement na lagi kong sinasabi is question everything, no? Tama ba to? Ito ba talagang dapat? May proof ba 'yan, 'di ba? Based on data ba 'yan? Hindi ba 'yan parang type lang or opinion lang ng isang tao, 'di ba? So experiment. 'Yan yung question everything. So 'yun ang aking mga takeaway. So kayo Sir Enrico, may dadagdag po kayo?
Well, yeah, nasabi mo na and really just the key takeaway is yung willingness, 'di ba? To be curious, 'di ba? Is there a better way, 'di ba? And let's see, 'di ba? Courage to try new things and experiment.
Correct.
So to me that's the big takeaway, 'di ba? Experiment and see for
Yan.
yourself.
May comment din si Buenafe dito. Sabi niya, owners should be well guided in evaluating and assessing whether it makes sense to persist
Yeah,
or whether it may be right time to sell or move on. Correct.
correct.
And we also have a
Correct.
Facebook user, sabi niya, personal choice on whether I should hang on or move on. Testing the waters. Correct. Always test
Yeah.
and look at the
Yeah.
results and dapat walang bias din yung test na yun. No? Hindi ka, alam niyo ba yung sa, again, balik dun sa diet, no? Meron yung sinasabi na 7 countries test or 7 countries experiment or study. Yun, 7 countries study na pinapalabas, no, na yung fats, yung cause kung bakit tayo nagkakaroon ng mga chronic diseases, yung cardiovascular diseases. Pero
Yeah.
in fact, pag tiningnan mo yung study na yon, it's not 7 countries, it's actually 20 plus countries. Tapos ang ginawa niya, pinili lang niya yung 7 countries na magmamatch doon sa kanyang bias. No? So wag po tayong ganun. Kapag
Confirmation
nag-experiment tayo,
bias.
oo, wala dapat confirmation bias. Dapat lahat ng data pasok dapat doon sa ating experiment. Sabi ni Gabi, before deciding, pray for
Of
discernment.
course.
Amen.
Of
Hashtag no
course.
regrets. Correct.
Of course.
Ayan,
Yep.
sabi rin ni Buenafe, asking God for guidance and wisdom in making a decision to hang on, move on, or to quit should seek godly perspective. As God Himself said in Isaiah 43:19, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it?" Amen. Correct. And
Amen.
yan din yung sinabi ko kanina sa ating anniversary celebrations of VNG, no? That God always has a plan for us. Ang kailangan nating gawin is to know God's plan. And for us to know God's plan is to pray every day and ask Him, ano po ba yung plan nyo ngayon, God? Anong kailangan kong gawin para ma-achieve itong plan mo? Dahil alam nating lahat that God's plan for us is to prosper us, to give us a hope and a beautiful future. Amen. Okay, next. Ang ating topic next week ay what if it's impossible to fail. So anong topic ito, Sir Andre? Konting intro.
Yeah, very interesting. What would you do if you knew it was impossible to fail in whatever it is that you are planning to do? Of course, you'll know the answer next week, and this has a lot of basis. It We will touch on what's going on in the mind. Why why we seek to avoid failure instead of desire achievement. It's very interesting. Find out next week.
Yan. Exciting, exciting. Okay, so let's end our episode with our usual panatang makabayan. Taas po natin ating kanang kamay at bigkasin ang panatang makabayan. Iniibig ko ang Pilipinas, aking lupang sinilangan, tahanan ng aking lahi. Kinukupkop ako at tinutulungan upang maging malakas, masipag at marangal. Dahil mahal ko ang Pilipinas, diringgin ko ang payo ng aking mga magulang. Susundin ko ang tuntunin ng lipunan. Tutuparin ko ang tungkulin ng mamamayang makabayan. Naglilingkod, nag-aaral at nagdarasal ng buong katapatan. Ialay ko ang aking buhay, pangarap at pagsisikap sa bansang Pilipinas. Maraming salamat po and we'll see you again next Saturday. Mark your calendars, 5 p.m.